Hello everybody, I am Ryan Searles, pundit and previous commentator for RPL, and I'm coming to you with some breaking news. This morning, as of recording this, Leo Lund, at 8 a.m. my time, 1 p.m. UK time, had been banned from RPL. You may be wondering why this had happened. I was wondering why this happened at first too. The Season 11 F1 champion and multi-time race winner, also pole sitter for VCARB, was banned for the following reason. Admins collectively agreed that he is too dirty to be allowed to stay. Now, I would definitely like some thoughts in the comment section on this, since this is definitely breaking news and definitely immediate here. He also got banned in PSGL for 2 races, literally right after this, for dirty driving, as far as I could recall the reason. But regardless, this is definitely not good though. And you got to be wondering what took so long. But also at the same time, I don't think anybody is going to be too bothered by this decision. He was kept out of a team/academy for at least a month. And he ended Season 12 of F1 and RPL with the most penalty points. Leo Lund had the chance to give Haas their first podium and maybe 2 podiums to end the season. But his driving did not help the situation. He has as many penalty points as races, if not more. If you take out the amount of penalty points he got for changing academies, he still have more penalty points than races he competed in per race. He competed in anywhere from 15, 16, 17 races, and if you take out the penalty points he got for changing academies one too many times, he'd be at 19. He'd still have too many penalty points, and he was 2 penalty points away from a season ban. Now, if we're looking here on past precedent with Leo Lund, anyway, in terms of where this ranks in terms of other bans, Blue Gagi came back after a ban in RPL Season 16 of Tier 2 at the very start of the season, came back from a ban. It was lifted a season early. And he was driving very, very poor in a race in Japan. And he got banned again for it. Now, he was banned for something other than driving, but his driving situation already was under a lot of scrutiny for RPL cases. And a lot of people wanted him gone. And for Leo Lund, this is a situation where a lot of people didn't really want to take a chance on him for the sake of the driving. Leo Lund is a very talented driver, a very fast driver. When you're driving into other people constantly, you're going to be under a lot of scrutiny for it. Remember, in USA, he had the incident with his team principal, Eggles, where although he didn't do anything wrong in terms of getting penalized, he still was racing his team principal instead of choosing to catch up to the pack in front for the victory. Leo Lund, the incident started for him in Baku racing Jack when he went down the inside, silly dive bomb, crashed himself. And we didn't see that a lot when he was in the McLaren. Once he got to the cars like the Aston Martin to start the season, then the VCARB, the Williams, then this kind of continued to be a theme that repeated itself. A lot of drivers were definitely happy after USA when they didn't have to see Leo Lund on the grid. They didn't really fear for their lives, they felt. But also at the same time, with Leo Lund's case, he still got pole in a VCARB. He put a Williams on a front row. He put a McLaren on pole. He put an Aston Martin on pole. Leo Lund is a very fast driver and a very young driver who has a lot of days ahead of him in terms of the league racing community, whether it's here, or would have been here, or PSGL. No longer going to be here, of course. However, his incidents that he's got in, and the incident rate itself has been a big issue for Leo. And like I said, a lot of drivers happy when he was not on the grid, not only because the incident rate itself, but because of the pace he has. You know, you come into RPL, I'll use a driver like Miniko, for example, came in during Season 9 of Hungary. You come in, you start racing, you find it a casual but fun league. It might be a little sweaty, but it's not terribly sweaty like some of the other bigger leagues are. Well, you get Leo Lund in, and then you see, ooh, in order to be near his pace, I need to practice maybe 2 times more, 3 times more, 5 times more. And it definitely puts you in a very awkward spot. And a lot of drivers felt like they were not put in that awkward spot anymore, and maybe the grid was closer. But it's not something they'll have to worry about like they did in Brazil, Abu Dhabi, and prior anyway now. But another situation we can compare this to is Leon. Leon got banned for driving way back, but he was allowed back anyway later on. Now, this is when, and some people are going to compare this before and say, look, Leon Minor got to drive dirty and he got away with it. That's not entirely true. This is a different sense of time under RPL. Jack Miles, as an RPL owner, had already said things are going to be different under me. And he said this in Australia when him and Leo collided. I wouldn't have restarted for a grid penalty situation, but I have here, and it's going to be different for Luke. And we got the clarity from Jack, which is what we didn't really have too much before. Not to say anything bad about Luke, but we just didn't have that in situations like that. Jack Miles gave the clarity in Australia, and that helped the situation. Jack gave some clarity here as to why Leo was banned. The admins agreed, and if the admins agreed, you can't really go against that. Although we didn't get a season ban for his penalty points, it was not a good look in the first place for our fastest driver to be racing out of hand, especially in cars that are pretty bad anyway, and he's already outperforming them. Ferrari took that chance at the end of the season to put him in Haas for 2 races, simply to kind of help the constructors, it looked like. And obviously, maybe the ones who had him at VCarb could argue they did the same thing to help boost their constructors' hopes, whether it be for 6th or maybe for 5th or whatever the case may be. Drivers and team principals took a chance on him, and one too many chances ran out. And luckily, the admins had enough time to decide this before the upcoming season and before he was signed anyway. Remember, he was not signed to a contract for season 13 of F1. And with the potential of F2 maybe coming back, he raced there every so often. But that's no longer going to be a talking point on where he signs or what will happen. His future will just probably be with PSGL and the other leagues that he races with, hopefully keeping himself out of incidents. But that is the latest in terms of Leo Lund's situation. And like I said about Leon's situation way back, people probably will be wondering, why did Leon get away with it? Like I said, he didn't. It's just a different time in RPL, and the norm back then 3 or 4 years ago is not going to be tolerated now. And I think Jack Miles, as an owner, seems to be putting the foot down and making that clear. Some of this stuff may be funny at the moment in the time, but when it comes to all seriousness, when a decision needs to be made, decisions like these are going to be made a lot more often. And look at Zora. Zora got banned as well. So this is not the first time this has happened, and probably not the last time, because driving like this is something that they'll have a lot to say about. And we want your thoughts. What do you think about Leo Lund being banned? Is this fair or not fair? Life's not fair, but we want your thoughts anyway. Either way, we'll keep you in tune on the next RPL recap this week. Yes, we may have the off-season coming our way starting this season and some off-season races, but that still does not stop us from the RPL recap. Either way, Ryan Searles, your pundit for tonight, signing off. We hope you have a good one, and see you then.